You've probably heard of Zwift by now, and chances are you've actually got a man cave set up for Zwift at home. If you don't, where on earth have you been? Now, I for one, like 99% of the cycling fraternity, would avoid indoor training like the plague. I mean, I could handle about 45 minutes to an hour, but after that, I desired fresh air, community, and a bit of adrenaline. So I ended up going out for 4 hours in the wind, the rain, and the hail. Times have changed though, and with the development of technology, it's attempted to tackle these very reasons why we'd avoid training indoors in the first place. Now, have you ever wondered why people are so hooked on online gaming? I mean, it's a virtual world, a community, a place for social gathering. I mean, it's one of the biggest factors in us doing anything. So if that problem gets solved for indoor cycling, then the battle is already half won. Throw into that racing against your mates, then you're definitely on to a winner. Now, esports has become so big in the UK that British Cycling have actually announced a national championship for it this coming Sunday, which, believe it or not, I am actually doing with these two fine stallions here, guys that I actually raced against for the last 5 years. This is Sean and this is Marcus, both elite racers in the UK, so I'm going to get a good run for my money here. Now, bear in mind, there is still time to enter for anybody. There is no minimum requirement. So today we're going to give you everything you need to know about e-racing, the equipment you need, the top tricks of the trade, and if you are going to race those inaugural national championships, how you go about doing that. So obviously we've not talked about equipment so much yet. I mean, we're doing this session on watt bikes hooked up to Zwift, but is there any other ways to use Zwift?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have a compatible laptop, iPad, tablet, phone, which has a Bluetooth connection, or will take an M+ dongle, you can use a smart trainer, which is the most popular method of Zwifting, or you can also use even a speed sensor. Garmin ones are very popular, a lot of people have them with their Garmin head units. Pop that on the rear wheel and hook it up to the M+ dongle on your laptop, and you can Zwift on that, using an estimate power.
Cool, jobs are good in then.
Yeah.
So what about like Zwift Racing then, like such as national championships? Is there anything special that you've got to do there to compete?
A lot of Zwift Racing leagues, such as the national championships and future Zwift Racing events, which we are sure to see coming thick and fast, they will require you to use a heart rate monitor and a verifiable method of power, such as a smart trainer that actually transmits an accurate reading. Watt bike, for example, is a way of doing that. This has an internal power meter in it. A lot of top-end smart trainers will be able to do that as well.
So you can connect your phone to the watt bike then. So if you're in a gym studio, you don't have to be in your own home. You could go down to your local gym and you could Zwift there then.
Yeah, simply watt bikes, they have a Bluetooth connection, M+ connection. You can hook it up to your phone, tablet, and then you're good to go. Just have a ride around Zwift, yeah.
Now, it's important to note that Zwift is actually a paid-for application at $12.99 a month, but if you're new to Zwift, then you've got a 7-day free trial or 50k. But bearing in mind the Nationals is 60k, you're going to need to fork out before the race. Now, there are 4 categories to Zwift, all based around your FTP, starting out at 0 to 2.5 watts per kilo, then from 2.5 to 3.2, 3.2 to 4, and then the hardest category of them all, 4 and higher, which I'm expecting you guys to be in, and hopefully me.
Now, the term FTP is probably quite alien to a lot of people who are just getting started with Zwift riding and racing. Now, FTP stands for Functional Threshold Power, and it's basically the power output that you can sustain for an hour. Now, you can actually do a test to determine your FTP within Zwift itself. You don't have to ride for an hour though, it's condensed into roughly 20 minutes. So you can do your test before you race, determine which category you're in, and jump straight in and get Zwifting.
Alright, so I reckon it's about time we start our second interval then. What do you reckon? Yeah? Go. Now, like with a lot of sports, I'm sure there is plenty top tips and tricks of the trade. Now, I've not done a lot of Zwifting, and I don't know about the audience, but I know you two have. So what can you enlighten us with?
Well, I always want to be ready because once that race starts, you're stuck on the turbo. So bottles, water, gels, a towel and a fan right in front of your face is always useful.
And a good warm-up as well, I'm guessing.
Of course, when that flag drops on Zwift, it's full gas.
So when you say full gas, I mean, when we're on the start line, do we need to be like literally pedalling before we go, or is it like from the moment the green light goes, we start pedalling? I mean, what do we do?
Yeah, most riders do seem to ramp up their effort in the last 10 seconds before the flag drops, and this is so you don't get left behind as soon as that race starts. Because obviously being online, there is a small delay when the race goes, and you'll see it as you start, everyone goes straight away. And if you miss that jump, it can be really hard for that first few minutes.
So once you leave that start line then, I mean, how do we stay in that slipstream during the race?
It's all about balancing that effort and not surging too much. If you're surging too much, you'll find yourself off the front, off the back, and you'll be wasting a lot of energy that you could conserve. I find the best way to do it is to look at everyone else's power outputs, which Zwift lets you see during a race, and when you match them, you should find yourself round about the middle of the bunch.
Now, one thing I learned quite quickly in road racing was that the start of the climb was always the hardest. You had to gain position, you had to surge right at the bottom. I mean, is that the same on Zwift Racing? I mean, it's a computer game, so surely it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as Marcus touched on, you can actually see your competitors' watts per kilogram while you're racing. So you can use this to your advantage, and as the effort goes up into the climb, you can match yours to your competitors. And quite often, you will find that the effort starts quite a bit before the climb starts.
So it's the same as road racing then, in a sense?
Yeah, you don't want to be left behind. And yeah, as I say, you can use your competitors' watts per kilogram to help yourself judge your own effort going into the bottom of the climb.
So that's probably the hardest part of any climb. And obviously the climb itself is still hard. The thing everybody needs to focus on is that initial run into the climb.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you're not in there at the bottom of the climb, you're going to get left behind on the climb.
What about the descent then? I mean, does that mimic road racing? Is it easier on the descent, or is it a little bit different?
Well, of course, in real life road racing, you have a lot of things to consider when descending for your safety and for your competitors' safety. Road furniture, traffic, corners, conditions like weather conditions. On Zwift, all of these are eliminated. So you will quite often find that people will keep their effort up going on the descent. So you don't want to ease up. You don't want to get to the top and go quite a few because the race will still be on and you'll get left behind.
Now, one thing I really want to know about is gearing. I mean, I assume there's going to be that little bit of mechanical inefficiency if we're changing from little ring to big ring and vice versa. Is it something that we should be considering to try and match our resistance so that we have to limit our gear usage as much as possible?
Yeah, Zwift allows you to really personalise the feel of the application. So on your settings you can go onto the trainer difficulty, and that's from 0 to 100%. You'll find on 100% you'll really feel the gradient increase. As you go uphill you might even have to shift into little ring. Now personally, when I come to racing, I drop my resistance down to about 50 to 60%, and this allows me to stay in the big ring for 99% of the course, because I don't like the idea of dropping to little ring, losing half of a second or a second power output, and finding myself tailing off the back of the group. One thing we can't forget on Zwift is a power up feature.
So how many power-ups are there then?
At the moment there's 3. We've got the aero boost, the lightweight boost, and the draft boost.
So they have what specific points in the race when you use them?
Yeah, 100%. They can all be used at certain points within a race or even a training ride to help you get a new PB or perhaps move off the front of the bunch and get that win.
Cool. So what is, if you were to tell me what the most powerful power would be, which one would that be? What does everybody save?
A lot of riders will hold on to an aero boost or an aero power up because at the end of a race this is what really matters.
Okay.
You'd struggle to compete with the top sprinters, especially if they have that boost at the end of a race.
I'm going to be saving my aero boost, and then I'm going to be flying past him, I hope, in the same fashion that we're going to be flying through this final interval. What do you reckon?
Just crack on.
Alright.
Let's get on with it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go! Now, for those of you who are considering entering and racing the British Cycling e-racing national championships like us 3 are here, then this is a qualifying event, and that means absolutely anybody can enter, with the best 10 men and women with 3 reserves for each going through to the live finals in London. But they will also have to tick all of these boxes as well.
So, to get racing on Sunday, there are 2 things that you'll need: a British Cycling membership and a Zwift account. But you won't need a British Cycling race licence.
And once you've got those sorted, head over to the Zwift website where you can enter online. And for any extra information, head over to britishcycling.org.uk. As far as this video is concerned though, if you found it useful and informative, how about you give it a like? And yeah, in the comment section below, how about you let us know out of Sean, Marcus and myself, who you think's going to win? I think it's definitely going to be me. Now, the winner will pick at random and they'll get a bucket of all of our sick on Royal Mail first class delivery. Ciao!
Ciao a tutti.